go lyncher, but he did, and he laughs at
Hi everybody, you're watching the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. If you're new around here, where the f*** have you been? But welcome. And make sure you subscribe. It's been a hell of a year for the West Ham Network. And rain just started. We've only just started, my friends. 2023 is going to be an exciting year for the network. So get involved. Make sure you stay in touch and hit the bell notification. Just notice anytime we have any content coming on. It's almost like one of those films when you be listening to this. If you're watching this now, I'll be dead. But if you're watching this now, I will be on a plane to Orlando, which is very nice for some. I know, but please be kind to Anne. Please be kind to Anton in my absence, please. Thank you so much. Hammer's headlines later on today with Anton. Check that out. But today's like the lunchtime headlines that we do when there's loads of bits of stories rather than maybe something we can do live and talk about in a lot of detail. So we will crack on. Where have all my things disappeared to? No probs. I will stall for time while I'm waiting for wherever they've disappeared to. So we've got 4 stories to talk about. The first one is the title story, and it involves Benny Boy Johnson and his agent refusing contract talks. This comes from an article on 6'2". Check them out. Fantastic website. Nigel's got a great website there. Lots of great content. Sean's writes in there and various others. And it's free. So it's always good. Lots of really cool articles. But according to the article, Johnson's agents are refusing, are no longer in negotiations with West Ham over a new and improved deal. Back in earlier this year, The Athletic claimed that the West Ham Academy graduate had rejected a new 6.5-year contract offer by the club. That surprised a lot of fans, I think, and obviously it got to a point last year, I think it was last year as well, 2022, it was this year, sorry, 2022 in the summer, which negotiations broke down, and so he had to exercise that 2-year option. So his contract doesn't run out until the summer 2024, the club having activated a 2-year option on his current deal. That surprised a lot of people. I mean, for me, Johnson is still there's a large section who are unconvinced about his main position. I know he's a right back. I know he plays for England at right back, but also he plays centre back for England 21s at the moment. He can play. He's played left back for us as well, and I think he's a good squad player, but he's not the number one for the right back or number one for the left back. And I think that's the issue. And maybe his game time has been somewhat limited. I mean, he had a great run beginning of last season, was tearing it up, but then fell by the wayside a little bit. So it's a strange one, in all honesty. I mean, the actual article claims that says that the club had offered a 6.5-year deal, which was rejected on both length and value by Johnson's CAA base, his agent, CAA. The sides are said to be far apart and no longer talking around the negotiation table. A senior club source telling 6'2" on Monday that they will review the situation again at the end of the season when Johnson has 12 months remaining on his extended current contract. There was talk of him maybe being sold as part of a fire sale. Maybe there were reports of that. So it's a strange one, isn't it, with Ben Johnson? It's a strange one. There's been glimpses. I mean, neither him nor Soufal have been at the races this season in terms of their right back performances. So much so we've had to put Tino Kira in, who started really well but fell by the wayside. Right back is a real issue, and then that's double surprising with the whole thing with Ashby, because you think he's a really good right back, in my opinion, and they're invariably letting him go. And obviously the whole Ben Johnson stuff, came about pretty much the same time as the Ollie Scholes deal was announced, when obviously Ollie signed his first professional contract with the club on Tuesday. It was. We know he's one for the future, been playing fantastically for the under-18s, so much so that he got the call up for the first team debut for the FCSB Conference League game early this year, and was fantastic. Well, he was probably man of the match, I'd say. And we've, you talk about Ben Johnson, you talk about Ashburn. Obviously, as soon as a player signs a professional contract, you go, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to break into the first team squad? Obviously, I did a piece, I think it was last week, about the academy being in safe hands, and by that I mean the academy is producing talent, but then it wasn't in reference to the conveyor belt is churning players out, but it's how they then progress into the first team. If they do, we've got the likes of Sonny Perkins, who went for greener grass at Leeds. It hasn't really worked for him at the moment. He's only just, look at Jeremy Ngakia. He left to go to Watford, wasn't it? Well, I think he was assuming that Arsenal or something were going to come in for him, and it was ended up going to Watford, and he got relegated and barely played for them. Well, I think he's playing a little bit more from now. You look at Ashby, who looks like he's off to Newcastle, prolonged from the summer. And so, it got me thinking, and people say, oh, Moyes, doesn't give players a chance. I don't think it's a case of Moyes. I think it's a case of general football. He doesn't give, and you have to be Declan Rice, you have to be Jack Grealish, Foden to make it consistently in the Premier League. I think from academies. I think we interviewed Tim Breaker, and Tim Breaker said that why spend time developing a player? Well, you can go to France and pick up an 18-year-old who has played 100, 120 games, and they do. The French system is a lot different. I think the whole thing around the under 23, leagues, PL2 is a detriment. I really think going back to the reserve football, where you're playing with seasoned professionals, you grow up a lot more physically because you're still playing with your peers really for the PL2 matches. You might be 18 and play 23-year-old, but you're still in that age group. You're not playing against a seasoned veteran or someone coming back from injury like you used to in the old Combinations League. But funny enough, I went back and I did some analysis. You know me, I love a spreadsheet, and I did share this on one of the lives, but in case you didn't see, let me just whack that up. So what we've got here is, let's go full screen. He's gone full screen. So I went through everyone who's made a debut since 1990, taken out all the players we've bought, and just kept the academy players in there who have come through from the academy. And you'll see here, which is quite interesting. This is our list of managers. Top one, actually, let me refresh that actually. And it's live. Moyes has given a first team debut to 18 academy players, or 18 players from the academy. Redknapp 15, Allardyce 14. Then the next question is going to be, but how many of them were in the league? It was only one for Moyes. I think it was Jeremy Ngakia actually for Liverpool. Not a lot of first team players. I think it's something like, out of those 86 academy graduates, something like only like 15%, their first team debuts were in the Premier League or in the Championship or in the league basically, rather than in the cup. And that's the thing. It's not necessarily, the fact is, it's how they then progress in. I mean, you look at last year, Sonny Perkins made his debut in the conference and then in the Europa League, should have scored. And then came on against Leeds, I think it was. And ironically, he's now at Leeds. So it's how they progress. And so that's what's going to be interesting. I think Scars was fantastic when we played FCSB. So hopefully he may get some chances, but then he might not. We don't know, do we? We don't know. You look at the likes of Divine, for example. He's smashing up for the 18s and 23s. You've got to think there's an option there, maybe out on loan. A little bit, maybe next week. I did a little video of 10 players I could see leave West Ham, some permanent, some loan deals in January. The likes of Divine, Freddie Potts maybe as well, who I thought was fantastic for the Cambridge game. I thought he was brilliant when we played Cambridge in the mid-pre-season friendly. I don't know what we're going to call it. Mid-off-season friendly. We still haven't got a name for that. But very interested. Let's talk about another potential out. So someone who looks like he's out the door for sure is Nikola Vlasic. And we've spoken about that quite a bit over the last couple of days. But apparently Torino have offered us Sasa Lukic in an attempt to get a discount on the £13 million price tag we've put on Vlasic's head. That's according to Tutu Makata Web, who claim that Torino have allegedly agreed a 4-year deal with the Croatian international already. Although we did hear that there's some Russian clubs interested in him following his performances for Italy. His performances in Italy, and obviously he was playing in the World Cup until they got knocked out the other day. However, the Italians are reluctant to pay the £13 million. So the report suggests, in an effort to reduce the fee, they're going to offer the Torino central midfielder, as like a Makeweight, the 26-year-old. He's a 35-capped Serbian international, orthodox central midfielder by trade. Played in all his country's games at the World Cup recently, and is really impressive in terms of being very technical in possession of the ball. So far this year, 2 goals in 12 appearances, Serie A appearances for Torino so far. He's got a pass completion rate of 89% this season, which is very, very good. Solid performer. Can be a more box-to-box midfielder, can play deep line, can play more advanced if need to as well. And he's very strong player. Physically very strong, so it might be something which Moisey sort of needs, and a little bit more strength, a little bit more grit in the midfield, which he could bring. And I think, if we've sort of given up on Vlasic, really, haven't we? To be fair, now it's interesting to see whether we can get Lukic in maybe and some money for. I mean, I think Lukic is available. His transfer value is about 17 million quid. So whether it's straight swap, whether it's a swap plus a little bit of money for us as a sweetener, I don't know. But interesting to see that negotiations and conversations have already been had. Whether they be in the summer or January, I don't know really, to be honest. But it's interesting to see what happens. And lastly, West Ham have been handed a bit of a boost in terms of the London Stadium, with news that UK Athletics are considering leaving the London Stadium as part tenants. From a report in the Times, it claims that the cash-strapped UK Athletics organisation may leave the London Stadium in order to help ensure their future. Obviously, we are co-tenants with UK Athletics, and part of the reason why, we've been there for 6.5 years now, and we know there's a lot of improvement needed. We know that. But we've been our hands have been very tied by the fact that UK Athletics still live there as well. It's almost like, a divorced couple, and you can't, they're sharing the house. That's sort of what's happening. In terms of things like the carpet, how long that takes to sort out, and that type of thing. And, obviously we had to pay a massive chunk of that, and the seats, we had to pay a bit of that towards that as well, I think, as well. So, all these sort of improvements to it to become a football stadium, we've had to lay out for or contribute. But the Times claim that that the UK Athletics may leave London Stadium. How long was that ago? London Stadium, in order to secure their future financially, potentially maybe moving to the renovated Crystal Palace. Maybe that might give West Ham a free run in terms of ownership. It could be a huge step in the right direction for us. If we secured the stadium as our own, we can make the changes that need to be made potentially. The LLDC had that responsibility, but West Ham's ground remains the London Stadium, and with UK Athletics moving on, it might make things easier for that transition potentially. Anyway, it's just a report at the moment, but it's worth keeping an eye on and seeing what happens. And that's it, my friends. So thank you very, very much for your time as always. Loving your work. As if you're new around here, give us a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give us a subscribe. We've got a hell of a lot coming up next year. Don't want you to miss any of it. So make sure you subscribe, or maybe become a channel member. Why not support the channel that way? It'll be much appreciated. See you. Anton will be on for Hammer's Headlines later on today. Look after him while I'm away. Be nice to him, please. It's Christmas. As always, I'd like to thank all of our channel members, our channel sponsors, channel partners. And today we're going to thank all of our members. Take care, stay safe, much love. Have a lovely Christmas and a New Year, because I'm not back until the 3rd of January. Although I might pop up on a live occasionally from the Magic Kingdom. Who knows?
like a family tree. Part of you